watching the Elite Life Show here on TNE Network. Welcome to the show, y'all. You know what I'm saying? We got another special guest coming up. We're in season 2, man. It's definitely a blessing, you know what I'm saying, to be, back and, bringing out great shows. And we got an author that's coming on the show today. He's going to have a lot of great information about his brand new book. Again, if you want to get in touch with the Elite Life Show, just go to elitelife57@gmail.com and just leave a message or, response or whatever you need and go from there. Also, check out our website, www.tnenetworks.com. Also, any business related to, any of the shows here on the TNE network, go to networks@gmail.com. Go there, you know what I'm saying, any questions you got, you can get in from there. But author Jermayne King will be joining us on the show here shortly. We're gonna get into it with him, about his book and kind of find out and get some insights. So we're gonna do that. We'll be coming up right after the break, y'all. Stay tuned. You're watching the Elite Life Show here on TNE Network. All right, so we're back on the Elite Life Show, and I'm out of the commercial break, and our special guest is here, live and in living color. So I'm going to welcome author Jermayne King to the show.
Hey,
how you doing, sir?
Man, I'm well. Thank you for having me, man.
No doubt, man. So introduce yourself to the Elite Life audience here. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So I'm Dr. Jermayne King. I am faculty at Johnson C. Smith University. I am the author of several books, including Soul Food Digestible Sneaker Culture, which later became the first English course in the history of higher education dedicated to sneaker culture literature, sneaker culture, and identification within sneaker culture.
Wow, man, that's deep right there. I mean, let's get into it, man. So what inspired and motivated that this particular book?
Well, I've been what I would call an authentic subscriber, or an authentic sneaker culture subscriber most of my life. But at the same time, my discipline where I'm trained is English. English was always my best course as a kid and as a child, and I pursued that major in college. And essentially what we have is the melding of my professional life and my personal life. It's like taking the peanut butter and chocolate and putting them together. So yeah, as far as sneaker culture goes, it has been my life before there was a culture.
So so explain a little bit about the sneaker culture and how it works and how involved you are as far as that.
Absolutely. Sneaker culture is an entity involved with expression and economics, okay? Individuals who subscribe are expressing themselves, and usually these are individuals who do not have a voice. So again, economic agencies concerned with economic agency and expression, and authentic subscription deals more with the knowledge and the precepts of sneaker culture. And then you have inauthentic subscription, which is pretty much, inauthentic subscription includes those who are looking to profit or commercialize. And that could be anyone from an 8th grader to some big corporation like PepsiCo, or maybe even Nike Sportswear. So there's inauthentic and authentic subscription within. And also, more importantly, there's sneaker culture literature, and there's authentic sneaker culture literature, and there's inauthentic. An example of authentic sneaker culture literature would be Bobito Garcia's Where'd You Get Those? Okay. An example of inauthentic sneaker culture may be something like Shoe Dog, which is a memoir. But the memoir, it's somewhat, it's propaganda because it's coming from one perspective. And there are other books that have the other, but those are examples of sneaker culture literature and inauthentic. And by the way, Soul Food Digestible Sneaker Culture is also an example of authentic sneaker culture literature because I am an authentic subscriber.
Okay, and so how did that incorporate as far as you said it's like a class now, or it's a study? So talk a little bit about that.
So in the class, we first examine examples of sneaker culture literature, including soul food digestible sneaker culture and the Garcia text. We apply Marxist theory to sneaker culture. We apply Marxism to text. And in that class, in analyzing and reviewing sneaker culture literature, we address every aspect possible in a semester for sneaker culture. On Friday, this becomes one-sided if I'm in front of my class all week, giving them my perspective, which would be fine. But on Fridays, there are guest lectures, and guest lecturers come in to lecture my course, and they many times they bring perspectives that I may not have. Like, for example, I can't speak from women in sneaker culture's perspective. So the guest speakers come in and they compete. There's a board. The board consists of students, and I'm the chair of the board. But students decide who the best lecturer was, and they receive a championship belt at the end of the semester. And then there's one keynote. So that's the ground version of the course, and then there's an online version that runs the rest of the year. But the ground version, the face-to-face, is the one where we have the guest lecturers every week. And then there's a big keynote lecture. Barbito Garcia was scheduled to be the keynote this past semester before COVID-19 hit. In the past, we've had Kevin Gray from New Jersey Sets, big company out in California, in Pasadena. We've had Dr. Makola Abdullah, who's the 14th president of Virginia State University, traveled to Johnson C. Smith to lecture the class. This is the thing about sneaker culture. You see a gentleman like him, and you're like, the CEO, the president of a university, not knowing that he is an example of authentic sneaker culture subscription. And when I asked if he'd be interested, he made it a point to come down, and we made history. That's to my knowledge, the first time a sitting president of a university has traveled to another university just to speak to one class, not for anything else, just to speak to one class and then go home. So I was honored by that.
Yeah, man, that's pretty cool. That is history. I mean, I don't think I've heard of it myself as far as common knowledge, man. So that's some groundbreaking stuff right there. I'm glad you brought up a nice segue, COVID-19. As an educator and being in as far as colleges, what has been the biggest change, and how do you foresee the semesters that will be coming up?
That's a unique question. This is my take on it. So you have the haves and you have the have-nots, okay? Let me explain. The schools that can afford to are having distance learning, okay? They're continuing what everyone did this past spring. And the reason they're doing that is obvious, okay? We don't want people to get infected. And those schools, those monoliths, they usually have older faculty, okay? Because it's the staunch tradition of the academy. And you'll find the smaller schools are likely to okay, let's try to do this the normal way. And here in North Carolina is unique, because here in North Carolina, we're not moving, we're not progressing. If you compare us to a state like Virginia, if Virginia's like, we're easing down this, we're checking off the checklist, and we're going backwards. So state schools are going to have, they want people, they need the money for the residents' life. They need the budget. The budget needs it. But it's going to go down to the wire. It's going to go down to the wire. And unfortunately, a lot of institutions are building the plane while they're flying. So I think schools have their students' best interest, but at the same time, there are economic woes and difficult decisions are being made and have been made regarding that.
Got to, and it's got to be a well thought out decision, is from what I'm seeing. So in my opinion, man, there's been a lot of decisions that's been made in this pandemic that were not well thought out, and I think a lot of the states are suffering because of that. Because in my opinion, I think there was more dollar signs looked at than rather the health and awareness of and the safety of people here in this country. And I think that's sad, because I think if there had been a little bit more logic applied, then all of the states would be on the ground of phasing from 1 to 2 and 3 instead of going, a lot of them going backwards. And I think, again, it affects quality of life. It affects educate, affects everybody, man. And you got to think about where we were at when the pandemic hit and the things that could have happened to where we could have been taking our time and easing into these phases so that we didn't have to backtrack and kind of go back, to square one to try to figure it out. And it's just, it's alarming to me. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I agree largely with that. Coupled with that, there's the state, the economy. So everybody's worried about finances and businesses, whether they be small, like even mine with Soul Food Brand LLC. And we've all have felt the burden, the financial burden from this. But at the same time, there's a lot of I go on IG, I go on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, and unfortunately, I've seen a lot of reveling. People having like parties, house parties, and you look there, they're panning, and you count like 1, 2, 3, 20 people in a living room or in a kitchenette or some rooftop party or like people on a boat, like, and no mask. I left out the thing. They're no mask. They're not wearing any masks, and they're all up on each other. Man, part of this is our own fault. I've been in this house like I've been on house arrest. Okay, the only time I've left this home is to go to get groceries, and if I've tried to order things as well, right? So I'm not out in these streets, as they say. But we're part of the problem. Yeah, government, states, they're worried about, hey, let's keep these businesses open because their political ties and how this is an election year. But we're not helping the cause. A lot of us are that trauma where there's a problem, but you ignore it. Well, everything's fine. It's like sitting in that meme of sitting in a room and it's on fire and sipping coffee like everything is fine. Everything is not fine. And especially going on in our state, we need, if we're out, take care of your business and get home, and please wear a mask. So there's a lot of fault to share, so to speak, and we have a healthy portion of it.
I think I've become antisocial, man, because I don't even like being out. Like, I really don't. It really is, if I got to go, and then it's really get in, get back out, get back home. Because I'm alarmed at the number of people that are not masked, that refuse to put them on. I'm like, wow, is all I can say. A lot of that I have to keep in prayer. I wanted to ask you, man, what do you think moving forward as far as athletics? Because that's the other thing that's on the table. How do you see things playing out? Because with the numbers being so high and with the amount of contact that it takes in some sports, do we see sports coming back? And if so, I don't see it. I don't see there not being any clarity and reality in there, because it's a real thing that's out here, and I think it's going to affect all phases of sports. What's your take?
Yeah. Well, we've already seen the ramifications of COVID hit sports clearly, but most recently, Morehouse just canceled football. Okay, and that's a domino. Their rationale for canceling football is that, okay, we may be able to test our players, and the key word is maybe, but we can't test other teams who are coming into Atlanta, and that's a problem with Division II athletics and smaller institutions, whether they're Division II or not. In a sport like football, so we've seen that the Hall of Fame game has been canceled, right? In preseason, I believe it's still starting when it's supposed to start in July, but man. Football is the most contact of contact sports. So let me give you this one small story. When I was an athlete, when I played football, I remember the sled drill, because I was a defensive lineman, had on this arm, like this bump. And I'm like, man, this thing feels funny, right? I go to my coach and I'm like, hey, coach, is this a staph infection? Kind of leaned in, and he said, how soon can you get to the doctor? And at the time, it was music to my ears. I'm like, we got 2 days. If I go to the doctor, I'm missing the second practice. I'm like, I can go down. But here's the point. I caught staph infection more than likely from a drill, a forearm drill. And I caught that and got it in a practice. Like, it must have happened that day because I was fine the night before. Imagine COVID. Imagine tackling someone and getting COVID. There's no more. That's the most contact sport. Sports like tennis, the more affluent sports, tennis, golf, they may be fine. We've even seen football, like European football, soccer. We've seen that's in play. Baseball players are coming up with COVID daily. Basketball players are coming up with COVID daily, and they're about to be in a bubble. This is going to have a huge ramification. At some point, what I predict is they're just going to, let's just play until we can't play. And you know where it's going to hit? And this is definitely my personal opinion. With the NBA, I believe that this season should be a wash. Just, first time a champion hadn't been crowned in possibly the history of the league. But what happens when it gets down to the Eastern Conference Finals or the Western Conference Finals, and a particular team that the NBA wants to win? We know who that team is, and I've been a lifelong fan of that team, so I'm kind of caught in the mid here. I'm not going to name them by name, but I believe you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
What happens when a key player or the key player on that team comes up with a case of COVID? What's going to happen? They're going to keep it secret, or they're going to have to announce it. He's going to have to sit out, and this whole thing will be tainted. It's almost like a wrestling storyline. So the easy answer to your question is that I think they're going to just go until they can't go. And COVID, we've seen spikes. States like Texas, South Carolina, Florida, even North Carolina to a smaller extent in those cases. We've seen these cases spike. So it's all about the dollar, and that these professional leagues and intercollegiate leagues are going to go until they're just like, you know what, we got to stop. But yeah, they got to recruit as much as they possibly can.
I think Florida right now, 5,000 cases daily was reported. And I really think that before we even get to the beginning of the NBA season, it's going to be a wash, because this thing is already where they're going. It's already a hot spot. And I don't care what bubble you in, the way that thing is moving in that state, I don't think you can avoid it. And I think players are more so erring, like some of the WNBA players are refusing to do the season and aren't able to opt out of it. So I don't see it, because at the end of the day, safety and health supersedes a season that can just be continued or started over in October, when I think we'll be in a better place, instead of trying to press it. Because I just think that at the end of the day, there's a divine intervention that's speaking, and it's just a matter of whether you're paying attention. If you don't pay attention, it's still going to intervene, and it's going to be how far you're going to push it against the limit. Other thing I want to ask you, man, is what where did you attend as far as getting your doctorate and everything, and what kind of challenge was it attaining that?
Absolutely. So the span of it. So I'm a 2000 graduate of Elizabeth City State University and a 2001 graduate of Virginia State University. My PhD in class of 2020 of Indiana University of Pennsylvania. My dissertation deals with sneaker culture and how it's reflected in literature, television, film, and lit, of course. And as far as there's a lot of rigor with any degree, but that is the ultimate rigor, especially when you consider, I'm not. You have to do time. I did time there in residency, but most of my degree has been done as a full-time. I've been working, living regular life. So there are also challenges that come up with communication, and just the rigors as a gargantuan amount of work, and the thesis itself is chief among them. So definitely put some hair on my chest. Okay, beard is probably not as black as it was when I started. Temples like a little lighter, but at the same time, man, it's like any resistance. If you do 100 push-ups a day for a year, you're not going to look the same January 1st the next year. So I'm thankful for all of my professors, whether it be at Elizabeth City, whether it be at Virginia State, whether it be at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. It's helped me get to this aspect in life, and hopefully there's still more growth.
Definitely, man, and definitely congratulations on that. Anytime you have a chance to get an education and increase that knowledge, is definitely an awesome achievement.
Thank you.
Just the time right here, man, to plug your books, plug how people can follow you, plug how can get your books, anything that you want to plug during this time. This platform is yours.
Thank you. Again, I am the author of several books, one being Soul Food Digestible Sneaker Culture. This fall, I'm a contributing author to the New York Mets and popular culture. My chapter in the book deals with the New York Mets and their influence on hip hop culture. And when people think of hip hop and baseball, you tend to think of the Yankees. Well, I'm a Mets lifer. So this invitation to write this chapter meant a lot to me. The Mets have as much, if not more, in influence as the Yankees. My company, Soul Food Brand LLC. It is soulfoodbrand.com on Instagram. I am Soul Food Brand Twitter. I am Soul Food Brand, and my course at Johnson C. Smith University. And I got to make sure there's a connection. My course is it spawns from my text, Soul Food Digestible Sneaker Culture, and sneaker culture literature has been my pedagogy, and I'm thankful for the culture.
Awesome, man. It has been an honor and a privilege to have you on as a guest here on Elite Life. It definitely won't be the last time that you'll be on with us, man. And definitely go get the books. Go learn
Absolutely.
more about, everything with Mr. King. I mean, he's got a lot of great things going on. And look forward to talking to you more in the future, man. I appreciate you coming on the show.
I am humbled by your invitation. Anytime you like to have me on, just let me know. I don't care if it's 10 to 15 minutes, kind of short, but 30, I can make it happen. Listen, thank you for having me. Next time, just let me know, and I'll be glad to come by.
No doubt. So y'all stay tuned. We're finna take a commercial break. You're looking at the Elite Life Show here on TNE Network. Great show. Author Jermayne King came through. Go get them books. Go find out more, about what the young man got going on. It was definitely an honor and a privilege. Thank you for tuning in to the Elite Life Show. I'm your host, James J.T. Thompson. Again, remember this. You got 8 minutes that you can survive without oxygen. But not 1 second can you survive without God. Stay focused. Be blessed.
Knowledge is king. Knowledge is king. Knowledge is king. Knowledge is king.